Welcome to AMIcast, podcast about Amiga computers. I'm your host, Krzysztof Radzikowski, but call me Krzysztof or Radzik. Welcome to AMIcast episode 21 from the Amiga Ireland MeetUp. And here I'm not alone, I have the guest Dave from Commodore UK, so very no person. And on the other side, this is another Polish guy, but with better English. Please introduce yourself.
My name's Łukasz, and I'm from Poland. I'm Polish. Helm Amiga Legion. Hi guys.
Okay, and we want to ask some questions because you are not you, our guest. Is very well-known pencil, and you say today that you will bring the book about your days in Commodore. So can you say to us some details to our listeners?
Yes, well, my name is David Pleasance, and I had a 12-year career with Commodore. I started Commodore in the UK as a salesman. I then became sales manager, and then ultimately sales and marketing director. I then moved to Commodore International Limited, which was the holding company for the whole of Commodore, and I was based in Basel in Switzerland, where I was looking after 35 export countries, which eventually became 37 because I opened up 2 new countries. And then I went to America for a year as a vice president of Commodore Inc., the US sales company, and then ultimately I came back to Commodore UK as managing director. And yes, I'm intending on writing a book which will tell the story of Commodore for the very first time from the inside of the company, not from the outside.
So with details, I think because the most important, maybe not important as well, the story is that everybody, Amiga users, know that you had the plan to save the Amiga,
yeah?
Yes.
You had
the
great
computer.
Plan, yeah.
And at the end of all, in the last minute, the ESCOM come. So I think this will be there as well, because it's a little bit missed. And I don't know, some guys say that your plan could be better than ESCOM. We know the ESCOM plan was completely not good, yeah, at the end of it.
Well, let me explain something. We worked on our business plan for Commodore Worldwide for several months. It was an extremely comprehensive plan. It was very, very well thought out, and we know that it would have been profitable. It was going to take us 7 or 8 months. And we know that we would have needed $50 million, not because the cost of buying the Commodore assets were going to be that much. We estimated that would be less than $10 million to buy, and we were right with that. But what we did know is that because Commodore had gone bankrupt, every company who had been supplying components to Commodore, there was no way that they would give a new company credit terms. Because they'd already just lost a lot of money. So we knew we would have to pay them up front.
Okay.
So we estimated that we knew we would need $50 million to fund us to the point where they would start giving us credit terms. Okay? And so what happened was that 2 days before the auction, and we had raised $50 million, 2 days before the auction, one of our investors, who represented half of that money, they were a Chinese manufacturing company, which would have been very good for us, because if we'd have had a Chinese manufacturing company as a partner, that would have meant that we could manufacture at a much lower cost, bring the product cost down and sell more products, okay? But at the last minute, 2 days before the auction, they pulled out and they decided to join ESCOM. And the reason they did that, they were cheated, we were cheated, because ESCOM said, don't pay $25 million, stay out of it, we'll buy it, and then you can come in for a couple of $1 million. which they never intended to do, but they just made sure that they took them away from us.
So it was a trick in the end.
Oh, it was. We were cheated out of it. Absolutely were.
So the users as well, because at the end of all, we are in this situation that Amiga is in the
not very good position, actually, you know. And you remember that the Polish press, actually, around 94, 95, they were really, really positive about Commodore UK and Mr. Pleasance
I think
in general.
Everybody was really positive when you take the old Amiga newspapers,
Yeah, Commodore and Amiga Secret Service and stuff like that.
But the details, because I think the details will be on your book,
Yes,
and the day of premiere, it will be December, or
I'm hoping. Remember, I've only just decided in the last 2 or 3 days that I'm going to do this. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I've decided to do it, I have been thinking about it for a while, is that so many of my music icons in the world have all recently died. And they're all my age. So it's made me scared. I may not be around in another year or two. So if I do not do this book now, that is my legacy for the Amiga community. Right. If I don't do it now, I might not ever get the chance. So my plan is to try to get it organised. I will do a Kickstarter to see if people will want to commit to buy the book, and based on that result, then I'll say yes or no. I won't say no if I'm only going to sell a couple hundred books.
I think the good tip for you, it will be to try to translate to Polish language, because in Poland this is the big community after Germany, UK, or even before UK. So Germany, Poland, this is the biggest community of Amiga. So for you, this means you can easier finance.
Well, if I can find somebody who is prepared to do the translation,
I think we can help you.
Then I'll be happy to do it. I mean, why not make it in different languages? It's no problem to
write
me.
in English like I write in my books in Polish, and then is the guy that doing the hardcore work. So I'm looking forward to read your book, even in English. This is no problem. It could be something new. And
I'm also going to do at the same time a digital version of it.
Oh, very nice.
Which will be interviews. We do a lot of work with Dan Wood, who does the Retro Hour podcast. He's a fabulous guy, and he is a huge fan of FriendUp, as well as Amiga, of course. And so I've already spoken to him. So we're going to do that. And on that digital release, there'll also be other things. Like some people might remember, 20 years ago, I released a CD of music that we recorded in my own studio, which had an Amiga 4000 was the heart of the studio, and we released an album which was a dedication of 10 years of the Amiga, and it was all music, but it's all live music. It's not music written on keyboards or computers. It's real live music, live instruments. And in fact, I actually play on that. Because I play flamenco guitar, and I actually put a track on there which was dedicated to J minor, and that track is called Para mi Amiga.
Very nice.
And I've also got a song that I wrote on there. I'm not performing on that song, but there's somebody else singing it and other people playing it. And in fact, my son, who was only 15 at the time, he's playing a lead electric guitar break on that song. So that will be included anyway as an addition, so that people get a good digital content as well. So they can either buy the book or they can buy the digital version or both.
You even put it in, iTunes or something. Yeah, this is or Amazon.
Bandcamp, something.
This is okay, but the Kickstarter, I think that.
No, I want to put it in my digital content so that people who buy get it, but you can't get it online. I don't want to do that. I want to give it to people. You buy my book, you buy the digital, and you're going to get this. So it's worth something, you know. If you can get it on iTunes, then it's not worth anything, you know.
Okay, so I think I would like to ask you about the FriendUp, because this is the very important, and this is your. But maybe before FriendUp, you are attending to Amiga meetings.
Yes.
So what do you think about the Amiga meetings and now the community? Because you are, I think, good fellow of Trevor as well. Yes. So the guy is trying to save the Amiga in other way, yeah?
Yes.
But can you comment it or these meetings, and we are now...
Well, I'll be honest with you. When we were cheated out of buying the assets of Commodore worldwide, I disappeared. I went away from it. I was quite hurt, you know. I mean, it's like being stabbed in the back, you know. So I was out of the whole industry for a long, long time, and I changed my whole life. I remarried. I went to Australia. I bought a restaurant in Australia, and I ran that for 5 years. So I've now got my Australian citizenship and passport.
Amazing.
So I can live and work in Australia. And I was really out of the whole scene. I got back into the music business because my two sons have now got a band, and I was their manager and promoting them, and I started promoting lots of other acts and musicians, but I was kind of semi-retired really, and I wasn't making money. It was just for something to keep my brain going, if you like, you know. Anyway, then I got invited to be a keynote speaker at the Amiga 30 event in Amsterdam, and I was staggered at the amount of response. And then we did one in the UK, and then we also did one in Germany. I was a speaker at all of those. And since then, my involvement with Amiga has grown and grown and grown, because there are so many thousands of people who are interested in Amiga, who love Amiga with a passion. There is hardly a day goes by when I don't get an invitation on Facebook to become a friend with an Amiga fan somewhere in the world, from people I've never met in my life. And I looked the other day, and I've got 1,860 friends on Facebook, and the majority of them are people I've never met, but they're Amiga fans. So I feel very proud that I was a little part of something that became so big, you know. And I'm very proud of my 12 years with Commodore. I made some mistakes, of course, everybody, but a lot of the decisions I took turned out to be good decisions, and they worked. And my objective was to get as many Amigas out into the market as possible, because the more Amigas are out there, the more software was being developed.
Yeah, that's right.
The more software gets developed, the more games. So, you know, it's one of those things, you know. And so now, I mean, I'm thrilled to bits to be here today. When Jarlath, who's organised this, did his last one, which was the first one, I couldn't. It was too short notice. I couldn't have got here. So I did a video chat through FriendUp, which is our version of Skype, and I did that, and that seemed to go down well. And then a while back, I said he was going to be doing this one, and asked me if I could make it. And I wasn't sure until really about 10 days ago that I could even make it. So I was pleased to be here. And I love being with people who love something that I had a part of the history of.
Okay, so this is nice. And I think in this year you will be in the Germany, in the Noise.
Yes.
32 years.
Well, having said that, to be honest with you, I can't be 100% sure. I'm 100% sure I want to be. The reason I can't be 100% sure is because my plan, my wish, my personal plan is, if FriendUp goes the way it's going and we get the investment that we're looking for, and I'm fairly confident we will, I want to be based in Miami in the States. I have lived in Miami before, and I loved it.
Yeah, I've been in Miami, and this is a very nice city.
And the thing is that because my job is truly a global one with FriendUp,
live whatever you want.
They said to me, "Where do you want to live?" I told them. I said, "Why not?" Because it doesn't matter. I'll get on a plane and go anywhere. Yeah. My role at the moment, I'm called a company emissary, which is a bit like an ambassador.
Yeah.
And really, I'm a kind of a Mr. Fix-It, and my job will be to go from company to company within within Friend, and help them and do anything I can, whatever it may be, whether it's marketing or sales or whatever it may be, you know, because I've got so many contacts and I know so many people, and it's something that I'm quite good at. So it's a nice position to have, because I'm not responsible for any specific little individual thing, but I've got an overall responsibility to make everybody else.
Make a contacts and good business deals.
Yeah. So if I am living in Miami, it might be just a little bit more difficult to get to Germany. But
if you live in Miami, make Amiga party in Miami.
Oh, well,
it's a nice excuse to go there.
Yeah, well, there you go. But I mean, at the end of the day, people need to have the money to travel. and it'd be easier for me to travel on a company basis than it would be for individuals to go to Miami. But there was an Amiga 30 Mountain View, and we have 4 people in FriendUp who live in San Francisco area. One of them is Colin Proudfoot, who was my co-MD at Commodore. One of them is Annika, who is his wife, and she has a background of developer support, and so she's running our FriendUp's developer support program and dealing directly with Jarlath in that role. One of them is a guy called Paul Lasser, who was one of the original designers of Amiga and of Commodore 65 as well. So, and they're all working for us, and they've all invested in FriendUp, and they're all working without pay because we don't have the money yet. Yeah, there's a girl also, Liat Perlman, and she's from Borland and Micro Focus and that background. She's not from Amiga background, but she's very useful to us. So what I'm saying is that because we have a presence in America, as soon as we get the funding we'll be after, which we're hoping will be probably around about May, June time, that's when we think it will likely to be, we'll register an office. We'll probably register an office in Delaware because there are some tax advantages to that, and then physically have an office in San Francisco, where they're already based anyway.
I think you must have the office in San Francisco.
Oh yeah,
it's so expensive, I think, in San Francisco. Yeah, but
that's true.
You have to have an office down there.
That's true, but we don't need very much space because we don't need loads of people. We need developers and things like that, and most of them can work from home.
Yeah, so you need the internet.
We've got Francois Lyonnais, who wrote Amos. He lives in Montpellier, although he's actually going to be moving to Norway very shortly because he wants to. Yeah, so and we've got 2 or 3 people ready to join us on the payroll, programmers in different parts of the world, and they don't need to move where they live because they can work just as efficiently and just squirt it to us.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about this technology. You can just do what you want. And if we have a meeting, we have a meeting online. And it's fantastic. And because with our program, we weren't able to show it to you today, but with our program, you can import into FriendChat a program. And you can all of your on can actually work on it and share it together. I mean, that's incredible when you think about that.
But you were talking with the friend
yeah.
So... as I see, because I know the friend OS or FriendUp, this is and the progress is quite big after, let's say, 2 years, because the promotion was started in Amsterdam, I think, that we want to do it, and after 2 years the progress is quite big, and the question is, your target is which era, or what do you want to achieve with this let's say operating system, and not exactly this is working in web browser. Yeah?
It's a very hard question to answer because we see no limit. This is huge. But as I tried to explain to you, we have to concentrate on a very easily understandable vertical market, which people call low-hanging fruit. It's easy for us to harvest, right? Okay. So what we're concentrating on at the moment is what they call Citrix replacement. We've got our own name for it. We call it soft merging, right? And it's a great name. We're concentrating on that, but our vision is much bigger than that. We are going to have our own friend store where everybody who makes games or videos or music will be able to sell through, and people will access it. But because of the technology we've got, people will buy it, but they'll never be on their machines. It'll be in the cloud. So they can access it and have every right to it, and they can play it on their machine, and then it goes back into storage again. So they can't copy it. Mm-hmm. They've always got it, but you can't pirate it because it's never on their machine.
Yeah, this is something like movie streaming or something like that.
It's very, very clever. And of course, we intend to be half the cost that Google is, that Apple is, that Microsoft is. So therefore, if you are a publisher or a developer of a game or a film or anything, if you sell through us, you make more money because you're not paying so much commission.
Yeah.
If you sell the others, you're paying a lot of money. We're saying we'll take half that.
Yeah.
So that's a big market in itself. And we want FriendStore because what we're doing, one of our products is open source, so we want everybody in the world to have it. Everybody in the world. We would love to have 100 million users. That would be fabulous. Because if you want to use it just for your own devices, it's free, open source. But if you want to develop something that you want to sell, or you want to integrate in something else, then you pay a license with us, and you get the upgrades, you get the tools, and all those other things, right? That's how we're building the business. And, can we be as big as Google? Yeah, we can.
Yeah, this is the good believing.
If we get lucky, we can be as big as Google.
You can change the mark.
The thing is that what we have done, as you know, Google and Amazon and Microsoft and Apple, they've all built walled gardens that they do not want to let you out of.
Of course.
Right? What we have built allows you to go across all of the platforms. You can load up FriendUp and you can have a Mac program running in there. You can have a Linux program. You can have a Windows program, all working together and talk to each other in our platform. They hate that.
Yeah, because you destroyed this ecosystem from this company.
It's
you are
disruptive.
independent. And
it's
this is
We're
the
above that. That's the thing.
Yeah, we've made it so that they cannot any longer keep their gardens walled.
Yeah.
And for example, to back to Amiga now, maybe I'm interested in NG Amiga, so in the Trevor. Do you think that for the new generation of Amiga, so for one and so on, there is a chance to do something? Because you represent a good approach to make a big risiko. I think this is the risk to invest something and find the investor. But in our Amiga world, can we achieve something more than we have now? So more commercial way, or I don't know. So advices, or I don't know.
Well, my honest opinion, and one thing you will learn about me is that I only ever tell the truth.
This is good.
I don't tell lies because my memory is not good enough to remember what lies I've told, right?
Yeah, then it's used.
And my truthful answer to you is I don't think you can.
Okay.
I think the Amiga, in wonderful as it is, nostalgia will always be there. In 20 years' time, there'll still be nostalgia for it. There won't be nostalgia for certain smartphones, for example. But the nostalgia will always be there. I don't think that there's any opportunity for the Amiga anymore. What you have to understand is that even in Colin and I's business plan, when we were planning to buy all the assets of Amiga, we only saw a relatively short shelf life for the Amiga in its current form, because new technology was going to have to take over.
Yep.
Right? What we had planned to do, and I'm not going to go into great detail, but we had a plan to allow people, whether they had an Amiga 500 or 1000 or a 1500 or a 2000, we set up a system that would allow you to upgrade, change it, swapping your motherboard, and keeping all your peripherals, and so that you could just keep on upgrading as much as whatever we brought out. You could swap a 500 motherboard for a 1200 motherboard, for example, in a tower case which we'd had designed. And that was going to be called Amiga Infinity. We'd got it all designed. I thought it all out. I said we even had the case designed by a German company. But what we were going to do, and what most people don't know, is the technology that was being developed by the Amiga engineers in Westchester was staggering. In 1994, the product they were developing, which was nicknamed Ombre, was phenomenal. And I saw a mocked-up version of what it would do. I was shown that, and it just blew my head off. But of course, ESCOM, they let all the engineers go. They didn't invest a penny, nothing. Can you imagine? Why would you let Dave Haney go? Why would you let Dr. Ed Hepler go? And yet you'd give Petro Tachenko a job. But Colin and I, we went to Manfred Schmidt because remember, Commodore UK was not included in the sale in America because we were a separate company, right? We went to them, and we had a business which, because of the way we'd managed it, we had accrued £6 million worth of tax credits, which meant that we could probably have turned over 100 million before we had to pay any tax, right? So we went to Manfred Schmidt and said, you should buy Commodore UK. And he said, I'll only consider it as long as you two, Colin and I, run it. You got it. And Colin said, we don't work like that. You know, we want what's the best for the company, not to to work for a dictator who said you got to do this, you got to do that. So Schmidt said, so he said, in that case, I'm not going to buy it. He said, how will you feel, having to fire 35 employees in the UK? And we said, this is exactly why we do not want to work for you, for what you just said. Mm. But he had an opportunity. If he'd have set up Commodore UK and run the business largely as we have, he could have done 100 million without paying 1 penny in tax. Now you tell me if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. This is logical.
He did not know. He did not want anything to do with the Amiga product. And I don't. And why didn't they just come to us and say, right, you take the Amiga, give us a couple of million, it's yours. Because what we want is the PC. I'd have given it in a heartbeat, but they didn't want to do it, and they did it in spite us.
Yeah, and then it was too late to save this. After when I made the interview with the Gateway, Jim Collins, this was I think he had the chance to, but he had the problem as well, but he had some vision, yeah.
Yeah, and had some ideas.
Who was that?
Jim Collins.
This is the guy from Gateway. This was 2000 year,
yeah.
But when I was talking with him, the plan was that we are not connected with PowerPC processor because the architecture doesn't matter. Our operating system will be something like the Apple achieved 10 years later. So micropayments, mobility. The guy was really visionary in 5 years before Steve Jobs. Yeah, because Steve Jobs was a really cool guy. Yeah. But the guy was faster, but he had a lot of problems to achieve this. I don't know. Oh, hi.
We broke your bag.
Okay, so we will finish some. So the interview was interrupted by special things. That's why it's not fully story here. But now you can find the Kickstarter project from David. And we can say something more about this. So say something.
Right. The Kickstarter project, actually, I've just noticed it today, and it is very, very interesting thing. Actually, David Pleasance announced the Kickstarter project during the Amiga MeetUp. Irish Amiga MeetUp, and I was quite surprised because I really, really look forward to reading that book. And the Kickstarter project, I just don't know. Have you seen it? Have you seen it online? Have you read it?
I have already opened it. So the goal is £25,000 to.
So it's
you must, but now it's 10 already.
So it's not that bad. So it's not really that bad. I think it'll be pledged and it'll be finished within, like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think it's no problem. It's still 29 days to go.
Oh,
and it's fresh. So it's half money is already here. I think, like you said, 2-3 days. And we put the link to the Kickstarter website, but
in the description. Yeah,
but the project is called Commodore: The Inside Story, and I think it will be a really great book showing the other side that Petro Tyszczenko said always. So it could be interesting, and we will see what the plans were from UK to save the Amiga, probably. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I must say, that David Pleasance is a really great person, and he's a great storyteller. I had the opportunity to listen to his stories of the Commodore, and he has some really great stories to tell, and I'm pretty sure he's going to tell them, in that book, actually. And as I said, I really look forward to reading that book, and I think it's going to be really exciting. Really exciting, you know. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it will be in English, and Petro's books are, as I know, only in German. So it will be automatically more popular, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So this is really nice. At the end of all, the guy is great, and I think we'll try to make a longer interview or additional interview next time when there is opportunity, probably in Germany, in Neuss, I hope. But maybe let's say something about the meetup that we met us in Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. It was in January. As far as I remember, it was the 21st of January. I got the invitation from great guy Jarlath. He's the Irish person behind the story of the Irish meetings. And it was really great. I was so surprised that actually there were so many people, you know, and the party itself was highly organized.
And it was very nice, and there was great guests like David and like Trevor.
Trevor. Don't forget that Trevor actually came from New Zealand, so he flew from New Zealand to I think to Belgium first.
And
then from Belgium to London to Heathrow, and then from Stansted actually to Ireland, you know, to Dublin, and that was quite a trip for him actually. So he put a lot of effort to go to Ireland actually. So he really wanted to meet Jarlath, I think.
And I think the Jarlath will make the next year second edition, third edition of this party.
Third edition, and he's talking about, you know, like a 2-day event.
Yeah, this will be great because you were travel from UK, I from Germany, and it will be better when you have 2 days.
Yeah.
And Irish Ireland is really nice, I must say.
You know what? It reminds me a bit of Poland, to be honest. You know.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, there's something, you know, special about that actually, about that country, you know. And there were a lot of Poles as well.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of all, the guys, they were very nice. The party was, like you said, well organized.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the best parties, small parties. This is very important. It's not so big. So I hope in the next year will be bigger, but not too big. You know what I mean? More family way. And I think this is must have for every cool Amiga guy to visit them there because it's worth. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely worth it. I'm pretty sure they will grow, they will develop, and Jarlath is a very, you know, like he's a very organized guy, and he's got that, you know, that good attitude that brings people together actually, and you can feel, you know, the positive emotions coming from him, and that is very helpful. And I'm pretty sure the party will grow, and it's going to be one of the greatest parties, you know, in this part of Europe, in the Western actually, because, you know, Western parts of Europe. So I really look forward to going down there next January, and I hope we will meet there again.
Of course, I think we will do something like that, because it's not so bad with the plane. It's depending from Europe, it's 2-3 hours, and you can, and with the Wizz Air, Ryanair, it's quite cheap. So it's and it was very nice. There were as well the new Amiga 1 at the show, so this was nice touch as well. There was some shops to buy software, hardware. There was even workshop about changing this electronic stuff in your motherboards, in Amigas, whatever. I'm not so good.
Capacitors, capacitors.
So
the workshop about capacitors, and it was really informative. I must, even though I'm not an electrician or a guy who is good at soldering, I found it quite interesting, to look how guys actually do it, because classic Amigas are like 25, 30 years old, so capacitors start leaking.
Exactly. So this is I didn't do it in my 600 here.
I haven't done it in my Amigas as well, to be honest. But it's a must, I think. It is a must to do it. But apart from capacitors, there were some great, things like Tower 57. You had the opportunity of playing that game, actually.
Yeah, this was some kind of advanced preview or demo, and the game is great. Game is great itself, of course, but Daniel, Daytona, who's developing this stuff for Amiga version and MorphOS and so on. So it was really gameplay is great. The game is fluent. The number of FPS is I don't know, but it's really fluent. And I think this will be probably top game in this year for Amiga. And I hope we will see. And the Wings were, I think, there as well to play.
Oh yes, I remember it as well. Yeah. It was, very playable and looked really nice. And I think Alan, the guy who had Amiga X1000 or
X5000
yeah.
Kit, I think.
He had it, and there was an opportunity. If anyone wanted to play that game, he could actually play it, and he could actually see it.
Yeah, and these two games, I think they show that Daniel is great coder here, and I think in this year we will have some good quality games to play. So this is nice. That's why such meetings are really important, when you can see something more. Just only talking about the Amiga is maybe not enough. You can see. You can touch, so this.
You can talk with people, exchange information, and bring new connections. Like, for example, just how we did that, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So meetings are very, very, very good for the community. They strengthen the community. They make it they make it better and more positive, I think. So. Always, I'd love going, to different meetings. So I encourage everyone to go and visit, no matter, if it's in Germany, in Poland, Sweden, in England, Ireland, or any other country. It's always good to go and talk to people, to exchange information, to see and to have this opportunity to be down there, actually.
Yeah, and to make new friends. This is as well important.
Yeah, that's right.
For example, this situation here, we know our community in Poland, but we have the first chance, I think, to meet us at this meeting. Yeah. So and now we decided that we will make the AMIcast together.
That's right.
I think this is the great for me. This is, I hope, the great for you, and the best is for our listeners here, audience. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. The feeling is mutual, and I'm really delighted to be working with you on this, and I look forward to it, to our next episode. So thank you for that, and thank you for inviting me here as well.
This is the pleasure for me. So okay, so I think for this episode it is enough of talking. Take a look again on this Kickstarter project. It is worth to support it. Make another episode soon. Just to say, maybe at the end of all, the AMIcast was really silent for 2-3 months because I was moving myself from one city to another and set up everything. Even the internet was not present at my new apartment. So sorry for that. Will be better and will be even better English now here.
Oh, hopefully. I really look forward to our next meeting.
Okay, so...
thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
It was AMIcast, podcast for all Amiga users.